This is Base Hit Ball 4.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the fourth episode of the BASEHITBALL4 podcast. My name is Glenn Negris alongside Tyler Blumenstick, Alex Cashman, and Scott Roswald. A lot of news in baseball this week, including proposals by both the Players Association and back by the union. But first, we're going to go back into our little sim season we had last week's episode. We drafted our Game 7 fantasy lineup, and then we all put it through MLB The Show. And Scott did the honors. He put it on his Twitch. It was a lot of fun to watch. And I have the final standings. Tyler coming in first at 4-2. Tyler, nice sweatshirt, by the way. Scott went 3-3. Alex went 3-3. And I, everybody, after a load of trash talk saying I had the best roster, I came 2-4. So, Tyler, what are your initial thoughts?
I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was going to take the win. I mean, you guys crapped on me for putting Mad Bum as my starting pitcher and Yachty behind the plate. The battery, I mean, here, let's look through this real quick. So I only gave up 2 runs to you. Then I gave up 12 to Cash.
You gave up a total of 21.
21 runs in how many games? 6?
In 6.
That's not bad. It's like, 3.5 runs a game.
Yeah, and that wasn't even all him. He was actually, from watching The Sims back, I was watching it for the most part. He was actually one of your best players. I think he was actually the best pitcher out of the 4, or out of the 3, because Glenn and Cash both took DeGrom. I took Scherzer. Madison Bumgarner is the lowest rated player in the game, and he was the best pitcher out of the 4.
Postseason experience. That's really all I have to say about that.
But the game doesn't measure that. So I think it's all luck. I don't think it's a legitimate win.
It's
also, I lost because the just thrown in relievers blew me a lot of games. Right, Scott? Didn't I lose by just my bullpen? Underbelly of my bullpen?
There's a couple games early on where DeGrom sucked early on. But yeah, the bullpen was kind of an issue for everybody. We decided to kind of just throw crap into our bullpen because I didn't feel like creating more players and, moving stuff around. Making these rosters was an absolute nightmare. It was probably one of the worst experiences of my life. Once I finished it all, it was pretty rewarding going back and sitting here watching The Sims while I was, doing my work day, making phone calls out to customers. Hopefully they would buy cars. I was, turning around watching the simulation. It was actually a lot of fun to watch these. I really got drawn into it. It really made me want to have actual baseball back. We all took Mike Trout. He was clearly the best player on all 4 of our teams. He was the most productive. I think the second best player was actually Ronald Acuna Jr. He had a lot of big games for you guys, a lot of home runs, a lot of multi-home run games. So I would say he was the second best player out of everybody that we took, which was
a huge grand slam that he hit for one team, right? Tell us about that.
For your team, Glenn. There, right. Big walk-off grand slam in the bottom of the 9th against Cash to actually sweep Cash. You're down 7-4 in the bottom of the 9th. Cash's closer, Josh Hader, came in and gave up a single, hit a batter, and then walked another batter to load the bases. And then Ronald Acuna Jr. went 424 dead center at Yankee Stadium to win the game for you.
Yes. If you told me in the beginning I was going to go 2-4, I would want my 2 wins to be against Cash. That's what I want. So I don't really think of this as a loss.
Well, you definitely should.
I don't. I beat you twice. How does it feel to lose twice to the last place team?
I'm very disappointed in Josh Hader. Very disappointed in Josh Hader.
Picked Kirby Yates.
I should have took Chapman. It was my second choice. I should have took Chapman. And
you should have went with your gut. I know your gut was Chapman.
My gut was Chapman, and I decided to take my Yankee bias out and bring in Josh Hader, who I thought was the best reliever in the game, and the guy shit the bed. So, from my honest opinion, Josh Hader's dead to me.
Now, Scott, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Scott. How did my Javi Baez do?
He really didn't stand out at all. I don't think he lost you any. He didn't lose you any games. He certainly didn't win you any games.
Well, I only have 2 wins.
He was just there. Yeah, I mean, but he wasn't really a factor in any of the games from what I recall. So, I mean, I guess it wasn't the worst pick. Clearly wasn't the best pick. Actually, another thing, Didi Gregorius was, I think, the best shortstop out of the players that were picked.
Suck it,
What's
Clay.
going on? How is this? This is not
Ty
legitimate.
took Lindor. You took Javi Baez. I know Didi had a big 3-run bomb in Game 2 of the matchup of me and Cash in the first inning, which absolutely, put my team out of it. And then he had a couple big hits for me as well. But, Javi Baez was not great. I mean, I want to preface that it wasn't a perfect simulation.
No, it's
being
clearly
a video
not.
game.
What's the point of ratings if it's
definitely-
going to happen like this?
It was definitely flawed. It wasn't perfect, but I had a good time going into the last 2 games against Ty. I thought I had a chance, and then I got shut out in the last game 1-0 by classic Madison Bumgarner performance, which was disappointing. But hey, I'll take after starting out 0-2, I'll take 3-3, and I just had a good time doing it, which was, the whole point of it. So
It was a lot of fun. I was on the boat on Memorial Day weekend with my phone on, watching your Twitch. My mom's like, "Glenn, what are you watching?" I was like, "Mom, I'm losing. I can't focus right now." It was a lot of fun, and it made me miss.
That's
baseball.
embarrassing.
What's embarrassing? That you lost twice to me, the last place team, or was I watching on a boat?
Know that you were watching on a boat.
Oh well.
I was
I don't
watching
like
in the
lakes,
car.
honestly.
I was going to play golf.
You were
and I
driving
set
and
my-
watching?
Well, I wasn't like really paying attention. I had the sound on going through my car, but I did set it up on my dashboard. I guess I'm incriminating myself right now, but
Call
all right.
911.
All right,
Listen.
Scott, since he's the big gatekeeper of this whole league, Scott, if you can designate some awards for us, a Cy Young, an MVP, what would you give?
I think we know who won the Cy Young. I mean, I feel
I
like
mean, Cy Young, I'm giving it to Mad Bum. He pitched 2 great games in the final 2 to win it for Ty.
why he's there.
Because I won that first matchup in our series 2-1, but he was right there. Mad Bum pitched great, and then threw 7 shutout in the clinching game for Ty. He had 6 strikeouts in that game. He had an 11 strikeout game earlier. MVP, I guess for Ty, as I said, Trout was clearly the best because early on, Trout was really good for Ty. He didn't do a ton in those final closing games, which kind of is accurate for Trout because he's never actually been in the has had any postseason, luck at all since he has only, it was like 12 at bats the last time we talked about it.
Hey, he tried. Bottom of the ninth.
He put up a fight.
Or what is it? Bottom of the ninth or bottom of the 8th in Game 1 against you. It was down 2-0.
Bottom of the 8th. Yeah,
He cut the
He
lead
did
in
hit
half.
a home run there.
Neris almost
so,
blew it.
I mean,
Neris almost blew
You
it.
could probably – so, yeah, I guess you could say Trout. You could even put Bumgarner up for MVP for, being consistent throughout the games. I wish I had kept track of the stats, full stats the entire time. I thought of doing it halfway through, and it was just a pain to go back and try and actually, track the stats again. So, mistake on my part there, but I'll give the MVP to Trout. Just best player in the game, so it's hard for him.
Well,
to
he wins
not,
them all in real life
be
too, so we
productive.
might as well give
Yeah,
it to us
exactly.
in
So-
this virtual simulation. So, Tyler, you're the champion, so I'm going to give you the FaceTime like this is
Okay.
around the horn or something. So go ahead.
Alrighty. What do you want? I mean,
I want your victory speech.
look, this is exactly what I expected out of my guys. I kept the complaining to a minimum, unlike some other people in here.
Like Cash?
No,
I didn't complain at all. I was very well behaved.
You're pretty
You
loud.
sound pretty loud. Someone who says he's not
Sorry.
complaining is very loud.
No.
Sounds like your gain is pretty high.
How about now?
No, it's bad.
No, it's not good.
Worse.
We're going to cut this out in post.
But
How about
yeah,
now?
No, still not good.
This is like an SNL sketch.
How about
I kind
now?
of like this.
How about now?
Speak again.
How about now?
Better.
How about now?
But you raise the microphone up more vertical.
There you go.
How about now?
He sounds good to me.
That's fine.
It's whatever.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's okay.
Yes.
How do I
Um,
sound?
All right, do your
You sound
victory speech
great.
again.
So do you want to claim to be the smartest person in the room?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Well, look, I mean, I knew this was going to happen. Like, I put Mad Bum out there. I gave him the perfect battery mate in Yadi Molina. Listen, you don't throw a shutout in a game clinching or World Series clinching, whatever the heck you want to say. You don't get that without Yadi Molina calling the shots back there. Look, I watched a fair bit of this. I didn't see many pass balls coming out of Yadi Molina. My lineup gave me a chance to win, and like I was saying, didn't complain. I believed in my team the entire time, and that's really all you got to do in these simulations. You just got to will your guys to win, and that's what I did.
Yeah.
And I came out a champion. That's it.
I tried to be a more verbal leader, and it didn't work out.
Yeah, you got
not at all.
My guys just didn't respond.
Glenn, leaders don't complain.
I still believe that I have the best roster out of the four of us, but that's
and that's
what baseball
why you
is.
lost. That's why you
baseball
lost.
Doesn't work out like that. Cash, you have anything to say about your team instead of my team?
I'm really disappointed. My guys shit the bed. I think they suck. I want a new team.
I mean, you're only one game out in a very small sample size.
But we picked
He got swept by me. I think it's really bothering him that I swept him.
We picked.
I don't think he's going to sleep at night.
Can you shut your mouth so I can speak? We picked a lineup to go in a game 7, right? So technically we had 6 game 7s, and I lost 3 of them. So they need to reevaluate their lives. My entire roster, especially Hader. Hader's dead to me.
A walk-off grand slam.
Yeah, Hader, you suck.
Up by 3, so that's
disgusting.
That's what dreams are made of.
So Scott, he didn't record 1 out.
Not a single out.
That's
leadoff single to Judge, then drilled Arenado, then walked. I don't remember who he walked, and then Acuna came up and
what a joke!
Hit an absolute bomb. It was a bomb.
And you know what, Cash? No offense, but you deserve it. And I'm going to tell you why. Because last episode, you were talking your shit about Chapman, about how you don't trust him. And every time he comes into the 9th, you don't trust him. You think he's going to blow it. And then you didn't pick him, and you pick Hader instead. And what happens? Blown save. Probably the worst blown save possible.
You're right.
Up by
worst
3
blown
grand
save in
slam.
Simulation history.
The worst. The worst.
Terrible.
Didn't even
Game
get an
7,
out.
no
Blew a
less.
3-run lead, not even getting an out.
It's disgusting.
Look, I mean,
Awful.
It's disgusting.
and didn't have Trent Grisham to mess it up for him this time either.
Only himself to blame. He really,
It's really it.
really threw that inning away.
Unbelievable.
Who is the offensive star for Cash?
For Cash, let me see. In Cash's wins, in the second game against me, as I mentioned, Didi hit the big bomb. In game 1 against Ty, when he won 12-4, DeGrom went 6 innings, struck out 14. But offensively, Acuna went 3 for 6 with 2 home runs and 5 RBIs. And then Paul Goldschmidt went 3 for 4 with 2 home runs in that game. And that was it. That was Cash's offensive production. That 12-4 game was the big one for him, with Acuna really leading the way.
Ronald Acuna is my guy. I've made that pretty known.
Well, he's really not, because he burnt you in the game we played. Because my Acuna hit the grand slam to win. So Acuna's my guy.
I don't credit you for anything.
No, Acuna's my guy.
I do not think that your team won.
Well, they clearly did.
No, my team lost.
Okay, at the end of the game, who had more runs? At the end of the game, who had more runs?
No, I heard you. I ignored it. My team lost. You guys didn't win. There's a difference, Glenn. We blew the game. You didn't deserve that win.
Well, I think I did.
Glenn, you won 2 games.
The resilience of my team after starting the season 0-4 to sweep, they could have easily just folded and went 0-6, no problem, because they were eliminated. I was done. But they rallied and they kicked your ass. So my guys deserve some credit.
Josh Hader, if you're watching this, you suck.
Right, we're just making enemies by the podcast.
What do you think's
here.
more embarrassing for Hader? This blown save against me or the Nationals wildcard game?
It better be this blown save against you.
Oh, it's clearly this.
It's got to be this.
Because
it has to be this. I don't think he's going to.
Trent Grisham doesn't miss that ball.
Unbelievable. He wants to be paid as the best reliever in the game, and you're going to go ahead and pull this shit against the worst team in our league?
Yeah, it's terrible. I can't believe it. I can't.
So far on my enemies list, we have Carlos Martinez, who's a little bitch.
Okay.
And Josh Hader, who's dead to me.
Okay.
So we're going to
I'm not going to be able to get any guests on this podcast.
Glenn, you've been on the list since I met you, but
okay.
We're going to get one for every show.
One enemy of the day?
Cash's
enemy of the week.
Bad guy of the week.
Kelsey, you've been replaced. Now we have Cash's enemy of the day.
Hey, it works. I like it.
That's a new anything for a new segment. I think it's a great idea. Cash can do his rant.
Thank you.
Can make fun of him. It's great.
We can blast it on Twitter. You can maybe tag him, get him riled up a little bit, maybe.
Tyler, I want one of those
Tyler,
sweatshirts.
I love your sweatshirt.
Wow.
Thanks. Keep looking at it.
Yeah,
nice segue. But go on.
The Caps on Sports store. By the time this drops, it probably should be up on our website. We're going to have Caps on Sports merch. We got logo merch like this. We're going to have a Base Hit Ball 4 collection up there also. 2 more designs, sports betting related. One of them, What Are the Odds? So you can check out the What Are the Odds collection. And we also have another one, My Bookie Hates Me, which if you want to kind of be a tough guy and wear maybe My Bookie Hates Me cut off at the beach this summer, you want to wear it to the gym, or you want to just –
if they ever open the gym.
If they ever open the gym, whatever, regardless, or you just want to lounge out and just let your family know that your bookie hates you. You got that collection at you too.
Can you make a design that says Alex Cashman hates me?
Maybe.
And then I can wear that to the beach.
Anything's possible. Anything is possible.
I do hate you.
So yeah, check it out on capsonsports.com. Keep an eye out for the Base Hit Ball 4 collection also.
Great. Awesome. Good shit. All right, let's talk about some real baseball. What do you say? All right, guys. So about 15 minutes ago, Manfred did a interview ahead of the MLB draft on ESPN and MLB Network, basically assuring fans that there will be an MLB season in some capacity. Take Manfred's word with however you hold weight to it. He's really dug a hole with himself with MLB fans over the last 6 months, dating back to the Astros investigation. I know all of us really aren't fans of his regime as commissioner, but he is saying that there, in his words, 100% will be baseball, even if he has to invoke the 48-game schedule. He said this in response to MLBPA's offer last night for 89 games at full prorated, which is expected to be declined. And Manfred says they're going to re-counter with another offer and, quote, in the player's direction. So what does that mean? We're not sure. Manfred says he's hoping that the players will back off of that full prorated salary that they want. And guys, I just don't see the players doing that at this point.
No, absolutely not. I mean, they've been fighting for that the entire time ever since they've had to go back into these renegotiations. They want their money. And when Manfred says he 100% believes that there will be baseball, and when he says that, in my opinion, I believe he means it's because he's going to have to invoke this, 48-game season under, his control. And if that happens, then baseball's setting themselves up for even more issues moving forwards. So that's what I think he means by it. I hope they can come to a conclusion, meet somewhere in the middle, so we have better feelings towards each other moving forwards. But I would lean more towards this, Manfred forcing the season upon the players.
And Cash, you talked about this, I think, a lot on social media in regards to the other sports. The NBA and the NHL have come into their agreements about when to restart their season. So they're going to restart around the end of July into August, go through October. So if Major League Baseball has this fugazi 50-game season that nobody cares about, and then put that up against an actual playoff format for NBA and the NHL, and then in September NFL starts, Major League Baseball is 4th in the power rankings of sports in 2020.
Yeah. So let me start off by saying, I think last week we talked about me having someone I hate every week. My hated person of the week is Rob Manfred. That guy is an absolute clown. Everything he says is idiotic. He's an absolute moron. And I think he's single-handedly destroying professional baseball. I think the guy is absolutely clueless between what he did with the Astros, between what he's doing right now, and between – I think he's I'm trying to think of nice things to say.
He's your hated guy of the week. You don't have anything nice to say.
It's a podcast. You can say whatever the fuck you want.
Okay, I think the guy's a fucking idiot. He's he's just a clown. He doesn't know what he's saying. He doesn't know what he's doing. I sometimes wonder if there are people working around him or with him that try and help him, give him some kind of insight to what he looks like in the public eye. The guy's an idiot. Has he done one good thing professional baseball since he took over?
I guess the wild cards.
About it.
But is that even worth it? Are those wild card games worth what he's done detrimentally to MLB?
I mean, the last 6 months
does not outweigh.
The last 6 months, when you add the Astros and that whole thing, and then when every single player after the Astros punishment, lack thereof, went down, and everyone bashed Manfred, and you got Trevor Bauer making YouTube videos with his girlfriend agent about how terrible he is. It's a terrible look. He looks so terrible. Like, he doesn't even – I don't think he has a clue. He says there will be baseball. You don't know that. I don't think he even knows that. Because who's to say
if he invokes
that,
this
who's to say that the player
season.
Yeah, but he invokes it. What if the players just say, no, we're not doing that? It's not worth our time.
Well, then he gets to a strike. So
yeah. What if he could be? I mean, how bad does – I don't know. You guys don't follow hockey as much as I do. Cash follows hockey, but how bad does Gary Bettman look even today with the 04-05 lockout that the NHL went through? How bad does Selig look with the 94 lockout? Those kinds of things stay with a commissioner's legacy, and right now Manfred's legacy is just off the charts.
There is no legacy.
Terrible.
There is no legacy. He is going to go down as the worst commissioner in professional sports history.
It's a bold take.
I mean, it's a hot take, but Goodell gets booed universally every single draft. But
I got to be honest with you, I used to hate Goodell.
To how bad Manfred is compared to, or bad Goodell is compared to Manfred.
I think Goodell has turned it around a little bit. Not to get off topic, but I think he has turned it around a little bit. The draft certainly helped him a lot, but Rob Manfred, honestly, in my eyes, can't do anything to turn this around. He is he is a captain of a sinking ship.
You ready for this? So when Manfred took office in 2015, he stated that his primary goals as commissioner were youth outreach, embracing technology, which I'll give him that, quickening the pace of play, kind of give him that, strengthening player relations, and creating a more unified business operation. I'd say 5 years later, you're failing pretty hard.
Let's go back. Let's go one by one. Let's see if he's done it or not. Go.
Okay. Youth outreach.
No.
I'm going to give it a no.
Opposite direction, actually.
Embracing technology?
No.
Yes.
I would give him a yes on
that.
He
implemented
with replay.
He implemented
with
the
replay, but there's so much more that you can do.
Okay, but it's more than what we had, right?
Well, technology is a broad term, to be fair.
He's using StatCast too.
He still limits the amount of who can use the replays, who can go on social media and use MLB's footage, right? Like, he's still very tight with who's allowed to use.
Yeah, but it's not as much.
Well, you saw what came out. I think it was 2 months ago, where they have that entire extensive database of, you can literally look and find any single MLB. What is it? The MLB replay database? I don't know what it's exactly called, but you can go in, type in any keyword. Like, you type Aaron Judge and anything that Aaron Judge is tagged in.
Yeah, but I can't rip that and put it on Twitter. That's the thing.
I'm pretty sure you can.
No, I can't. I could, but it's not. It's against the rules. Like, I'm not.
No, I think you can share it, is what I'm saying.
Like, I think the NBA and the NFL does a better product where once something big happens, it's immediately on social media. I feel like baseball, a big home run happens, I got to wait like a half hour to see it.
The NBA and the NFL do everything better than MLB. I mean, I'm being honest with you. The only reason that we watch professional baseball is because we love the sport. And it has nothing to do with what the league has done. It has nothing to do with what they do on social media or technology. It's because we love the sport of baseball. And it has nothing to do with the MLB.
All right, let's move on to the next one. Quickening the pace of play.
He's tried.
A little bit.
I mean, they've gotten it done.
To get there.
It's just one of those things, and we've talked about it, where, I mean, you can decrease the pace. You can decrease the length of a game by maybe, 9-10 minutes. And then at that point, like, it's not going to bring fans in because the games are still over 3 hours, whether it's 3 hours and 20 or 3 hours and 10. Someone who isn't really a fan isn't going to look at it and be like, hey, I'm going to watch baseball now because I get 10 minutes of my day back, because you're still watching for 3 hours.
I mean, every time this argument comes up with anyone, I roll my eyes because I don't care about the pace of play. Like, I don't care. Like, Cash says it all the time. Like, oh, we all love baseball, so we'll watch. I mean, if it's a good game, I'll watch it for 6 hours. I feel like it's the quality of the game rather than if it's a 2 hour or 3 hour game.
I agree with you, Glenn.
A lot of teams suck.
I'm just gonna say, yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. But I'm gonna say the same argument, like you said. Yeah, we would do that because we love it. But
I mean,
an average fan.
But the average, how about this? Would the average fan rather watch a 3.5 hour Yankees Red Sox battle or a 2 hour and 30-minute Baltimore Kansas City just shit show of amateur baseball?
I can't answer that question. I don't know.
I don't
know. Yeah, I would say Yankees Red Sox, but like I said, I don't know how many people would want to sit on their couch for 6 hours. Like the first game that comes to mind
6 hours.
is that
I mean, of course, like 6 hours is a lot. I know I'm exaggerating, but a 3.5 hour
I get
good
it.
game between two teams, or a 2.5 hour game against like shit.
Well, you have to remember there's 162 games, so you have to average it out. Like, yeah, there are going to be some games that are that long. There are going to be games that go to 11, 12, 13 innings, but then there are also games that go 9 innings and are done in 2.5 hours. But
the 3.5 hour 11 inning game might be amazing. It might be a great game. People might love it.
Agreed 100%. But my point is that over the course of 162, what Manfred is trying to do is average-wise bring the time down, which he's done by, like what Tyler said, 10 minutes.
I'm going to look it up.
I don't think it makes that big of a difference, 10 minutes.
I don't think
also so. Throwing it out there. You guys are blessed. You guys are 23 years old and you haven't seen the Yankees have a losing season in your entire lifetimes. Whereas as a Phillies fan, I've seen plenty of losing seasons where it sucks to watch almost every game. But just saying, it's a lot easier when your team is out there competing for a playoff spot.
But that's the point. I think more of an issue than pace of play is the quality of the product. I feel like a lot of these teams don't spend the money that they could spend, and I feel like a lot of them just tank.
So he's been pretty inconsistent. In 2015, he took over. It was 3 hours flat game time. Then he went to 3:04, 3:08, 3:04, and then 3:10. So last year's season had the longest game time in
he's gotten worse.
Major League history.
We're giving him a thumbs down on pace of play then. If it's only gone up since he's taken over.
Well, all right, let's look at the average time of 9 inning games. I mean, it's still consistent. Like those, you're not getting any better.
So how about we give him an even, just nothing? We'll give him a tie.
All right, we'll give him what he gives us, nothing.
The average NFL game 3 hours.
Yeah, but that's different. It's a lot more action-packed.
Come on, Glenn.
No, it's still in the. I'm gonna make that argument with you guys. It's 3 hours, but within those 3 hours for both sports,
you're getting a lot more bang for your buck.
It's also one day a week, and football has a day of the week, and that's Sunday.
I'd much rather be at a baseball game though than at a football game. I'll tell you that.
Well, the product of football is made for TV. It's not made for stadiums. I mean, the NFL, I don't think they'd miss a beat if they didn't have fans in the stands. I know Cash is a season ticket holder, and he's looking at me weird, but it's so much better to watch a game on TV than it is to be there.
That's true.
Absolutely agreed. For football, baseball, I'd much rather be.
I disagree. But, I mean, I'm not going to win that argument. It's 3-1. I'm just saying there's nothing like watching a football game in the middle of December in the snow.
Even when the Giants lose like 38-10?
Tyler, what's next?
Strengthening player relations.
No,
Negative.
I mean, we're going in opposite directions right now, and that's really why I brought this up, is because how can you possibly be the head of the MLB and be the head top guy on one of the sides in these negotiations, and then turn around and just basically deviate from your entire mantra, basically, of when you first took over as commissioner? Like, yes, it's obviously probably the hardest overall time in his tenure, but you got to do something. It's a missed opportunity, and we've harped on this for time and time again. Like, I don't want to beat the dead horse, but you're not strengthening player relations. You're just not getting there. You're not even getting closer. You're not even looking like you're trying to get closer, and I don't even know what to say to that. So,
I mean, he said that he said that the next proposal is going to be in the step in the player's direction. We just don't know. We don't know what that means. We don't know what that means. Does that mean full prorated? Does that mean 90% prorated?
I feel like we've heard this song and dance before, and it's just, I don't know. Like, I'm frustrated at this point. Like, I keep saying, like, I keep taking sides on this, like when we talk in our text group chat and like when we talk on the podcast and whatever. But when push comes to shove, even if Manfred says, you know what, I'm going to enforce this 50-game season, 48-game season, I'm going to be happy because I get to see baseball again. But for the sake of the league, it's going to be.
I would rather see no baseball than a 48-game season.
I agree, 100%. Like, why am I?
I think
all right, no, timeout. Cash, make up your mind, because yesterday you said the players are being bitches here and they need to just shut up and play. So
no, I agree.
If they get 50 games,
48-game season is not worth it.
But you said you'd rather play. You just want them to play.
Cash wants them to play at a less than 100% prorated for like 90 games. That's what he probably wants.
Yeah, 48 games is absurd.
It is absurd.
48 games is absurd.
In terms of crowning a winner,
at the end of the day, it's baseball.
Right.
If the Yankees win the World Series this year after a 50-game regular season, am I going to be running around the streets of Paramus, New Jersey with 28? No, I'm not.
Yes,
oh, shut
I will not. No,
up.
I'm saying it right now. I'm saying
you
right
will.
now.
No.
I will not.
No, you're a little bitch. No, that's wrong.
No, I don't think it counts. I don't think anything.
You're saying that now, but as soon as the Yankees lose 5 straight, you're going to.
Anything below 75 games is just a Fugazi championship to me.
Somebody big is going to go down, knock on wood, and you're going to just go on an absolute tweet rant of how the season's over. This guy's not going to be back. He's out for a month. Like, there's only 48 games. This is garbage.
Yankees are going to lose the first game.
Wait, what if a huge player, let's say, God forbid, Garrett Cole tears his elbow up over a 48-game season, and he misses or most of next 162-game season? Like, it's not
I vote to stone Glenn if Garrett Cole tears his elbow up now.
It's not worth.
I want it live in Yankee Stadium.
Games for players to risk
their health. It'll be a protest, so we can have a million people.
Coronavirus or just the normal, natural baseball injury. Over 48 games, it's not worth it. I'm sorry, it's not. I mean, I'll still watch. I'll still root for the Yankees, but it's just not worth the trouble at that point.
The Yankees are going to lose opening day, and they'll have 47 games left, and Glenn's going to be like, "Oh, season's over. I'm never watching again."
Yeah, but that's just the next day. I am. That's just me.
Yeah, but my point is, if they win the World Series,
and that's exactly why when they win,
if they win the World Series, am I going to
you'll be at the parade?
Out,
yes, you'll be at the parade.
I don't think there will be a parade. I think there's going to be a second wave. We're all going to die. How about that?
I'm getting a tattoo on my butt of the 2020 Yankee World Series. This is all what Glenn's going to say.
I'm just going to break into Yankee Stadium. I'll be the only fan there.
Yeah.
I feel like the last point here goes hand in hand, creating a more unified business operation. I mean, I feel like that the whole point of that is bringing together the MLB, the owners, and the Players Association, and obviously we're just not getting there, and we might not even be at the worst point. If this gets bad enough, we might just see the players file a grievance, possibly strike this year, possibly try to strike next year. I mean, they don't have to try to do it; they can do it. But I mean, obviously that's an extreme step. But if they're not happy with this, and Manfred has to interject, they're going to file a grievance.
Tyler brought that up, and I'm going to say something that I read. I don't agree with it, but I'm going to let you guys know that I read it, and here's what I heard.
I'm glad that you're reading.
I heard that there was a rumor going around that the players would go on strike and join independent baseball. Not necessarily the Frontier League, probably the Atlantic League.
Not happening.
I think they're more talking Korean baseball.
Obviously, I'm not agreeing. I'm just repeating what I read. If I can find the article, I'll send it to you guys. But that obviously they're not going to get paid the same at all, but it would be more of like a percentage thing. For example, if a player came to the Somerset Patriots, right, and they saw a percentage increase of revenue, they would get part of that percentage rather than a salary.
I think that's ridiculous, though, because they might as well just play Major League Baseball.
Well,
the owner's deal.
Are you going to risk getting hurt or sick over the Somerset Patriots?
The owner's best deal is 10 times better than the best possible revenue sharing that you can get from a team like the Somerset Patriots.
I'm agreeing with you.
I know. I'm not coming at you, but I'm arguing the article.
I'm saying. Yeah. No. I'm saying. But what I'm saying is maybe that puts it into perspective of what we're talking about here. About the fact that they're arguing over hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I don't know.
I'm just saying, anything that the owners give them is going to be better what they get elsewhere. Korean baseball included. They're not going to come close to the same revenue that you're getting here.
It'd be absolutely absurd if that happened. It would just shock me. I can't.
No, I don't think it would happen either.
I can't even fathom that.
I don't see it happening either. It wouldn't make any sense.
No, it wouldn't make sense.
But my point is, to whoever wrote that article, I got to try to find the article. Whoever wrote it, obviously, if the players were willing to play for less money, then they would just sign the contracts.
But they are playing for less money. They agreed in March 26th to play for less money. That's the problem. The owners now want to take more money away because there's no fans. And that's where the problem is.
Well, you know my stance on that. I agree, but I'm not going to get into it.
So, all right, I'm going to pose a question here. Say this was not at the end of this year, say we weren't as close to the CBA as we were last year, let me start over. Say we were not as close now to the CBA as we actually are, to the renewal of it and the new negotiations. Say it was the season immediately after they just signed one. Do you think that they would be harping on this as much as they are now? Or do you think it's more of trying to gain the upper hand going into that because of all the free agency, all the leverage issues, and just a big notion that owners aren't paying players and players want money? And it's not just an MLB issue because people are breaking salary records left and right in every single sport. You see it in the NBA, you see it in the NFL. But yeah, I'm just curious what you guys think because I feel like we would not. So
I want to say something on that. The NBA started this, and as much as I love him because he's a Laker, Anthony Davis started this, or Kawhi Leonard actually started this, just speaking into existence that they don't want to play at their full salary anymore. And that has owners across all of sports terrified because no matter how long of a contract you sign, no matter how much money you give, as soon as the player wants out, they're going to leave because you're not going to have a choice, and you're going to get nothing in return.
That hasn't. Is there a player in Major League Baseball that's used that attitude yet?
Not yet, but I think Machado's going to do it.
No, I think Machado's good where he is.
In 2 years.
No, he's not.
He signed
that's
a 10-year
why he had an
deal.
opt-out.
Yeah, that's what opt-out.
Does he? I didn't know he had an opt-out. Does Bryce Harper have an opt-out?
Every Boris guy has
Harper
an
opt-out. Harper has no opt-out.
Oh, really? Harper
does not. Harper said, "I do not want one."
Yeah. Well,
I think that's silly.
I
mean, I know it's nice. That's a nice thing.
Cano did it. He wanted out of Seattle.
No, Seattle wanted out of Cano.
That's not true.
He said he wanted to win.
Well, that's probably after he got the.
What's so wrong with that?
Should have never went to Seattle.
He got popped. He got popped on the PEDs, and Seattle was done with him. Listen, they didn't want to pay the rest of the money.
And no, maybe it hasn't happened in MLB yet, but it's going to. It's not.
I don't think it will because of the lack that there's no salary cap. I think the salary cap saves players from doing
and
that.
Their contracts are fully guaranteed.
Yeah, Kawhi can, or not Kawhi. Well, Kawhi back in the day, he pops off, right? Becomes the superstar guy, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, I want a new contract." Baseball players.
Well, the Spurs were willing to pay him. He didn't want to be in San Antonio.
Well,
that's my point. Look at what happened with Odell. Look what happened with Antonio Brown. These guys just forced their way out. So now you can pay a guy no matter how many years you give him, no matter how much money you throw at him. If he doesn't want to be there anymore for whatever reason, if his friend goes somewhere else and he says, "I want to go there," now what?
But I don't think that's not really the nature of a baseball player compared to
and I think it's
NFL
a lot
and
different.
NBA guys.
Because look,
it's a much like the NBA, especially the NBA. Their culture is we're all friends. We all summer together in whatever fucking island. We're going to end up playing together. That's just the way it is. We're all going to end up in Los Angeles. We're all going to end up in either Los Angeles team. That's just the way that culture is. Baseball is much different. You don't see super teams in baseball because that's just not how the sport is made.
And I was going to just touch on that because you see in the MLB, like, you have 25 guys on a roster. Like the NFL, has more, but you have the ability to feed a player who is the best and most talented player on your team. You have a good running back, you give him the ball. You have the power to give him the ball every single time. You have a good receiver. If he can get open, you have the power to literally throw that guy the ball 15, 20 times a game. You have a good quarterback, you have Patrick Mahomes, and you want to lean on that guy and throw the ball 45 times a game, you can do it. But say you have Mike Trout, regardless of how much you want to utilize Mike Trout, he can only get up to bat as many times as the lineup lets him, and he can only make so many plays in the field as much as the ball gets hit to him. So you don't value guys like this. Like it's just
great.
It's just a
different.
And I agree.
Story. So then, why would a player demand $300 million over 10 years if he's getting
because they're talented and they deserve it? Because they're talented.
That's where the market has him.
I'm saying super teams
baseball.
To an extent.
There's no control on the money.
It's a ladder. Every free agent sets up the next free agent. Let's go to the other sport like quarterback, right? The highest paid quarterback is never the best quarterback always, right? Like there was a time where Matt Stafford was the highest paid quarterback. There's a time where Eli Manning was the highest paid quarterback. You just climb up that ladder, and each free agent that comes, that's the bar. So one day, who's the top young stud outfielder in baseball?
Ronald
That's
Acuna
not.
Jr.
Well, he signed an extension. Who's a guy who's on a rookie deal who's just an absolute stud? Okay, Bellinger. Bellinger's day comes for money. What's the bar? The bar is the Mike Trout bar. The bar is the Bryce Harper bar. That's just the way it's going to go. You climb up the ladder.
I totally get that, and I'm not denying that. But
that's why they're going to demand, because Bellinger's going to be like, I want Harper money, because that exists, because it's there. It's happened before.
And if he keeps it up, I think it would be very reasonable. I think he deserves more than Harper at this point.
Yeah, you're probably right. I think we got a little
signing someone for 10 years. I don't get
If they're
it.
under 30, you can.
All right, but the thing is, you got to look at the average annual value.
You just did it with Garrett Cole.
Yeah, and I didn't think we should have for that long.
That's a different story because he's a starting pitcher.
And
look, I think we're going to get bit in the ass.
He probably puts them over the hump.
Right now, but I think we're going to get bit in the ass going forward.
If they win 2 championships in the first 6 years, and then the rest of the contract, the other 3 or 4 are just bad, it's worth it.
Look, we paid Alex Rodriguez for 2 or 3 seasons to broadcast games for Fox. It's essentially what we did.
And we paid Jacoby Ellsbury 2 years to hang out in Tampa Bay.
Well, that's just the way it is. It's more like financial security, and it allows the teams to spread out their payments over a long period of time. So if you talk about, say, a $300 million contract over 10 years, it's a $30 million annual value. Say you're going to get 5 good years out of him, you're really paying the guy $60 million a year if you want to look at it that way. Like, not saying he retires, but say he falls off.
And then just deferring the money towards his back.
It's basically just, like Glenn said, it's basically just deferring the money to the back end of it. And you're just giving him a chance to fit in with his team, be that puzzle piece to go get you your championship. And hopefully you build off of it and you take the chance that his production doesn't decline. So,
okay, but then you're giving – so you want to use – let's use Harper as an example. You're giving the Phillies a 5-year window to build a World Series team. Are they in a 5-year window?
Yeah, I would say so.
They are, but it's not a 5-year window.
Why?
For the Phillies, it's not. It's a 13-year window.
They just
Look, I'm not saying you cut it in half. It's just my analogy, but like –
No, I understand. But how productive is Bryce Harper going to be at age what? 30? 29?
That's his prime.
That's a prime.
What are you talking about?
I mean 40, 39. Sorry.
I mean, you're talking from let's say 35 and up, right?
Yeah.
At that point, there's going to be a DH in the National League. He can just DH.
And also at that point, that's 8 years from now. You'd think that the Phillies would have a run or two within the next 8 years.
But then you also look at it.
I sure hope so.
But going off of the fact that like these contracts just keep getting pushed up and up and up and up every year, maybe paying Bryce Harper that – what is he – he's getting like an average of what, 20 – I think it's like $27 million a year. That's going to be relatively cheap for possibly the production you're even going to be getting out of him 12, 13 years from now. So like maybe not 12, 13 years, but if you look at maybe the last 5 years of his contract, $27 million could be a guy like, say, Didi Gregorius. Like, production value like that, like a bat like that, at least. Where he's
he's worth every single
260
cent that he gets paid.
Exactly. And he brings fans. Hopefully he's going to be a staple in Philadelphia. I mean, he's already making strides to be that. And he's a guy that puts fans in the seats. And he's a guy you can market and profit in other ways.
It's not a guarantee that all these guys that signed big contracts are complete bums 3/4 of the way through. I mean, CC Sabathia was still very productive. He wasn't the same guy. He didn't throw 98, but he still won games for the Yankees. He pitched Game 7.
Look at a guy like Nelson Cruz right now.
He pitched Game 5 of the ALDS in 2017. He was 38 years old.
I totally get that. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
You love that phrase. You love that phrase,
do.
devil's advocate.
It's his favorite role.
It is.
So I do think that we got away from Ty's original question about if we weren't right up against the CBA ending, whether or not this would be happening. So I do want to kind of get back to that. I feel like if they had just signed a new collective bargaining agreement, I think both the owners and the players would be more willing to get something done quicker to play, or they'd be more willing to just say, hey, let's chalk this one up as a loss and just walk away and get ready for next year, make sure that we're in a position to succeed moving forwards. I do really think that with the CBA ending next year, it's playing a huge factor with all of these negotiations, just trying to get ready for, at this point of the year.
Yeah, especially for the players. I mean, let's say last year they come to a new CBA agreement for like 12 years of labor peace, and the players overwhelmingly win the CBA negotiation or whatever, and then this happens, the players might say, you know what, we'll play for less than 100% prorated because we won the next 12 years of whatever guidelines we wanted. So there would definitely be more leeway with the players, I feel like, if there was peace for the next foreseeable future, but unfortunately we don't live in that world. But it's a good observation.
I agree though. I mean, it just makes sense, and you can't give up that leverage going forward. So
it's just rough. So
absolutely,
it's what we got here. How much time?
We're probably running about 25 minutes right now.
All right, we can go another 10.
All right.
All right, but I do have a question.
Go ahead.
We talked about this yesterday in our group chat, and it is very well known that you guys all very much disagree with my take. That I think the players are asking for too much, and the owners are being cheap. I mean, not being cheap, being fair. What you think they're being cheap?
They're being cheap and unfair.
Okay.
So I think
Krusty Krab is unfair. Remember that episode of SpongeBob where they go on strike?
Great episode.
So I did some research. Now,
Mr. Krabs is in there. Great line.
Don't bring up the Rays and don't bring up the Yankees because that's two very opposite sides of the spectrum. But the average MLB baseball game costs an owner $2 million to run.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So say the players wanted what? 100. What? They wanted 120 games, right?
114.
Somewhere. Yeah, 114 was the number.
Okay, so I did it based off 120, which would be 60 home games. That's $100 million.
Not a lot of money. It's not a lot of money, though.
To a billionaire?
Not even to a billionaire, but relative to the money that they will make in a season. $100 million is not a lot of money.
All right, so let's take
relative to that.
How much money are they going to give you? Well, you take the $100 million as a baseline, then subtract that debt to the money they get from TV ratings or TV sponsorships.
Well, that I don't know that answer.
You got to do that too. That's important.
The Yankees made $683 million in revenue last year. The Marlins even made $222 million.
So you're cutting the Marlins in half.
Look, I'm not saying it's completely fair, but
well, why would
you said it perfectly yesterday, Cash? It's one season.
Yeah, it is one season. So both sides, and I'm not saying that the owner. Hold on. I'm not saying that the owners need to give up everything. And I'm not saying the players need to give up everything. I think both sides need to compromise a little bit. And
but the players
neither
are
is doing that. No,
the players compromised in March 26th when they agreed that they weren't going to get their full salary. If they play 82 games, they want 82 full paychecks.
In front of 0 fans.
Yeah.
Who signs a contract expecting to play in front of 0 fans? Who gives a contract expecting to play in front of 0 fans?
The problem is you're not expecting it. But
So
you're locked into that
make
contract.
Compromises.
There's no clause in the contract that says should a pandemic hit, this is going to happen.
Who expected
that's why
this
there's
to
a
happen?
union. Nobody. But that's why there's a union, and they agreed already to prorated salaries, and the owners are now pushing for more. So I don't know how you could possibly not take the owner's side or take the player's side here.
It's just my 2 cents.
Let me ask you a question. Who is more able to recover from losing income or a piece of their income for the next year during this pandemic? Is it
Are you
Hal
asking
Steinbrenner?
the players to pay out of pocket? Or are you asking them to take less money?
Is it
Are
Hal
you asking them to pay out
Steinbrenner?
of pocket? Are you asking them to pay out of pocket?
You're not understanding.
You're not understanding my question. I'm asking you a question.
No, I understand what your question is. Yeah, no.
I didn't ask it yet. I didn't ask the question yet.
I know what you're going to ask.
Who is more able to recover from losing a piece of their income? Hal Steinbrenner or one of his relievers, Jonathan Holder? Who needs money
Is
more?
Holder paying out of pocket?
What do you mean by that?
What was
But
that
he's not getting paid.
First of all, nobody's getting paid right now. There's no season.
That's not true.
Don't you want something?
You keep bringing that up, but there's a player
These
pool.
owners have other businesses too. These owners are not just the owner of the Phillies, the Orioles, the Twins. These guys run other businesses that they're bringing in money.
You're proving my point, but right now nobody's bringing in money.
He's not proving your point whatsoever.
Nobody's bringing in money.
Stop.
For a long time, it was stopped. For 3 months, we were going to stay at home.
I've been working every single day. I've been working every single day since this started.
Okay, but the vast majority of people haven't.
That's not true. The vast majority of people have. Unemployment rate is only 20%.
The owners have other businesses that they're running where they're bringing in money.
Okay, fine, right? Tyler, the company that laid you off, right, did not lay off 100% of their people, right?
No.
Are they still losing money right now?
I can't speak to that. I don't know. Nor would I publicize it if I did know.
They're a live event company, and there's no live events going on, so you have to assume they're not making money.
You can't compare that though to a company with 120 people.
I'm not comparing. That's not what I'm saying.
You are comparing.
No, you're not.
You're absolutely comparing.
No, you're not letting me finish. Okay.
Well, you said you're not comparing, but you're very obviously comparing.
Can you let me finish my fucking sentence, please? The owner of the Yankees, right? Hal Steinbrenner also owned the company you worked for, right? So that's the other income that Scott is talking about. That other income is also losing money.
Okay, but these guys are not just owning hundreds of live events companies. They're diversifying. You look at the Cardinals owner, which Glenn was tweeting a crap ton about the other day.
I hate him.
What's his name?
Shit. How dare
Bill DeWitt Jr.
Yeah.
So these guys are smart people. They diversify their portfolios because of times like this, because it happens. Bill DeWitt Jr. is a managing partner of the Cardinals. He has business interests outside of baseball, including his holding company, which owns Arby's franchises. He owns a petroleum company, Spectrum 7, and he owns the United States he is invested in the United States Playing Card Company. They manufacture playing cards.
A lot of people are playing with playing cards.
And this guy has a net worth of between $4 and $6 billion.
I'm not saying that they don't have money.
And what did he just do a month ago? What did he just do a month ago?
I don't know. What did he do?
Ty, what did he do a month ago?
Whose house did he buy?
Bought a Beverly Hills mansion. Eva Longoria.
There you go.
I'm not saying they don't
So
have money.
he's making enough money to buy a house. He's making enough money to buy a Hollywood villa on the water in California.
All I'm saying,
but not enough to pay his
no
team
owner is going to sign
89
up.
games at prorated.
Nobody's going to sign up to play.
They are already signed up, but you're missing that point. They own the team. They have an obligation to play baseball and to pay salaries that they all signed on the dotted line for. The players signed to receive a certain amount of money, and every single owner signed to pay a certain amount of money. Nowhere in those contracts does it say, should a coronavirus pandemic hit, we're not going to pay you the money. And they already came to an agreement is the point. I'm not feeling bad for billionaires. I'm sorry. And that says something because I'm usually on the side of people like that.
You are. And that's why I'm a little shocked. But listen, I'm not going to win this argument because you guys are all against me. And that's fine.
It's just fairness.
We can agree to disagree. But what I'm saying is that I don't feel bad for guys who on average, and not all guys make this, but the average, what did you say yesterday, Glenn? The average baseball player salary is what?
$4.5 million.
$4.5 million. So cut that in half.
Okay, but I want to make a note that the average could include outliers on the top end of the spectrum. The median is $1.6 million.
Fine, let's use that number. What's half of $1.6 million?
$800,000.
I'd be very happy with that right now. I don't know.
But you're not a Major League Baseball player with immense talent in the top 1% or less than 1% of your craft.
No, I'm not.
Of course you would be happy with it right now, but you would not be happy with it if you were normally making $1.6 million and living a lifestyle worth $1.6 million a year. You can't afford your lifestyle. And taxes come out. They're not taking home $800,000.
Well, they're not taking home 1.5 either.
These guys that are, even the median guy making $1.6 million after taxes is going to make a league minimum salary at about $500, $600K. But those guys are not, they're not talented. They're not as talented as those league minimum guys and now getting paid. And you even take the league minimum guys, what are they making now after taxes? Less than $100,000? Less than $150,000?
I mean, it goes back to those days in the 50s where Yogi Berra had to, be a manager of a bowling alley in the winter. It's bullshit.
These guys
While the billionaires just stay billionaires.
They don't just take their $1 million and stash it away. It's all proportionate to a certain extent based on the lifestyle that these guys live.
Also, they only have that lifestyle for an average of 5 years? Billionaires stay billionaires for the rest of their lives, and their kids stay billionaires, and the kids stay billionaires.
I'm not saying that I don't think that these guys deserve to get paid. And you guys keep saying that I say that, but I'm not. What I'm saying is that the entire world has struggled with this virus.
Yeah.
And everybody is taking in less money right now.
It doesn't matter, though. You can't equalize it. Because there are economic classes in the United States.
I know that. I know that. And the economic classes are hurting, too.
I've said it once. I've said it again. If you want socialism, go to China.
I know you keep saying that, and that's not my point. That's not my point here. But my point is the Mark Cubans are losing. Mark Cubans of the world are losing money. Exactly. He's a billionaire.
Mark Cuban's still paying his people, though.
It happens. He's paying
I
his
know
players.
that. He's being very generous.
No, it's not a matter of generous. It's a matter of the right thing to do.
Baseball played a smear campaign to keep him from buying the Rangers a few years ago, too, which is funny.
I don't have any recollection of that. But Mark Cuban, I definitely should not have used him as an example, and that's my fault because he is kind of the opposite of what I'm getting at. But he didn't have to pay his staff to work every home game they didn't work.
But he did. You know why? Because he could. Because he's that rich.
He's generous.
It's not even because he could. It's because these guys are employed by them. They're your employees. Mark Cuban is a guy that sees his employees as family.
Right. He's a guy that I like. I'm not saying that I want to work for one of these owners. So
why do the owners not want to even pay the guys that are putting money back in their pockets is what I'm understanding.
I'm not saying that I would want to work for one of these owners. That's not my point. I wouldn't.
Of course you would. Look at your career path right now.
No. That's not what I'm saying. Obviously, I want to work in Major League Baseball, but not for
working
the guy
for one
directly.
of these owners. Yeah, but you're indirectly working for these guys.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that I want to work for them because of who they are. I want to work for them because of the position that they're in. Okay? I don't know them personally. They could be 30 jackasses for all I know. Maybe they are. And I'm not siding with them personally. I'm siding with the business of it.
But why don't the players get to say, well, this is a business for us too?
It is.
Why should they bow down and
employees.
take another pay cut?
They are employees. What if Tyler what if Glenn what if Scott just said, I'm not going to work for you anymore. I want more money. What would happen? I get that you're not the 1% of the talent in your field. MLB players are the best at what they do in the world. I get it. But they're still employees, and they take in money from the owners. The owners own them. Their contracts, not them. Sorry. They own their contracts.
What I was going to say yesterday is guys like us who work, it's not a closed-term contract. We don't sign up. Like, for example, you didn't sign when you signed up to work for the minors, you didn't sign a contract for 3 years worth whatever your salary is. When I signed up to work right out of school, I didn't sign up to, I don't know the term. It's a
at-will employee.
At-will employee. There you go. We are all at-will employees. And that's the case because we're replaceable. These guys are not replaceable, which means they get guaranteed money. Nothing for the four of us and for most of America is guaranteed. But that's why these guys sign these contracts, and they should get paid their money.
I have a question.
Okay.
From the beginning, we've talked about how this contract negotiation doesn't have to do with the Mike Trouts of the world, the Bryce Harbors of the world, the guys making top end. They're okay with it, right? We're talking about the lower end guys, right? The Jonathan Holders. Jonathan Holder's not replaceable? There's not a guy in minor league baseball that's not better than Jonathan Holder?
Okay, but the difference here is
what? It's the same thing.
It's really not
replaceable.
The same thing.
No, it is. He is replaceable. So if he doesn't want to work, fine.
But he has a contract. He signed the contract, which says that he signed a contract, a major league contract, not one of those minor league invites. He signed a major league contract that says you're part of our 25.
Okay.
That's it.
And
so he's technically not replaceable. He's
replaceable. He got cut tomorrow.
He's replaceable in terms of.
Yeah, he could, but they're not calling me, you, Ty, Glenn off the streets to come replace him.
No, they got guys in minor league baseball who would come up and play. No,
minor league baseball is a completely different argument that we can go for another hour.
Okay, but what you're saying is that they're just going to call a guy up. Yeah, you have a farm system for a reason, but do the owners want to just call somebody up? Do they care that little about Jonathan Holder, the person, to just say, "Oh, you don't want to play, so screw you"? That's it.
I can't speak for him. I don't know. I'm just
it's
saying,
not the case, dude. If that was the case, then somebody would already be up there. He would not be on a major league roster. These guys are the best at what they do, regardless. Yeah, there's always going to be somebody looking to take your spot, but at this point in time, there's nobody there. Otherwise, they would already be there. That's the thing.
But
you don't have guys just sitting there. Like, yeah, there's always somebody that wants to take your spot.
I get that. But, I mean, these guys are playing a game for a living.
You can't look at it that way.
You can't look at it that way.
That's
their job.
It's literally their job. They're not playing a game for a living. We're doing a podcast right now for fun. Do I enjoy it? Yeah. Are we pretty good at it? I'd say so. But are we replaceable? If I wanted to say I'm getting up and going, could somebody come and sit right in this chair and do the podcast? Yeah, absolutely.
So you just agreed with me that Jonathan Holder is replaceable because somebody else can do it.
No, I'm saying we're not at the top of our field right now.
No, I agree with that. But we're also not getting paid to do this.
And
we're still doing it.
Okay, but this is not our job, is the point here. It is their job to do it.
Right. And they're still going to get paid a lot of money to do it.
Dude, you can't just keep I feel like it's just like wasting breath kind of arguing the same thing over and over again.
One day this show gets picked up by a different network. Let's say, I don't know, Barstool picks us up, hypothetically. We are going to want to get paid what we believe we're worth as podcasters, as content producers and stuff. And if they don't want to, we'll walk away.
No, I don't disagree. And when these guys signed their contracts, they wanted the same thing. I don't disagree. But if there are no fans coming into the stadium, it's a different story.
Who owns the stadium? Who owns the stadium?
The owners.
So why are the players even remotely responsible for who does? Okay, let's pose the question this way: who definitely does not own the stadium?
The players.
Players.
And
They're
when fans
employees.
do show up, who benefits?
The owners.
Exactly.
Everybody.
So why
The whole
should when
league.
the fans not show up, why should the players be the one taking the downfall and not the owners? When every
Okay.
other year they're the people who profit and benefit off of this.
Here's the last thing I'm going to say on the topic, and then I can't argue anymore. We're just going to disagree to this. We're going to have to agree to disagree.
He's being
Here's the
devil's
last thing I'm
advocate.
gonna say. No, I actually truly believe.
Do you know how
this is not
painful it
devil's
is to
advocate.
argue with somebody playing devil's advocate?
No, I'm not playing devil's advocate right now. This is what I truly believe, but that's neither here nor there. I have a question. Okay, the concessions workers at Yankee Stadium. If there's no fans, are they working?
No, they're not working. But
do they own the stadium?
Unemployment.
Do they own the stadium?
No, but listen, because I know this from experience, and you know this from experience, where the wage that they're currently working at, the way unemployment is structured, you can get a replaceable salary right now during this pandemic for not working. If
But
you
didn't
look
you say
at
there was
Mike
a players
Trout, Mike
pool?
Trout,
Didn't you say there was a players pool?
for what?
So they're still bringing in money, no?
Yeah, but it's like
Yeah,
$5
because the
million.
players, out of the goodness of their hearts, are paying for the ushers and stuff, like Kevin Love and the Cavaliers. The owners
No, I'm
aren't
not
doing
talking.
it.
I'm not
No,
talking about
the,
the concessions workers. I'm talking about the players.
The players, if they don't play at all, they have like something like a $500 million or $1 billion to distribute amongst themselves as they see fit. That's not nearly enough.
They're not making more than we're making on unemployment, or the concessions workers are making
You
on
keep
unemployment?
comparing these Major League Baseball players to
He's
me.
never
I'm
gonna
living
get it.
in my parents' house. These guys have million-dollar houses with $100,000 property taxes and $100,000 cars that they are expecting to have the money for. And you're just going to say you're shit out of luck? When you're signed to a closed-end contract? You can't do that.
I'm just saying they're employees of the team. They're not superheroes. They're employees.
No, but they play like they're superheroes, and
I
they
agree
should be
with you.
rewarded as such. They're talented.
agree
They're the
with
most
you,
talented in the
but
world.
Nothing is normal right now, right? Nothing.
I understand that, but
That's all I'm going to say.
you
We
play
can
both
agree to
sides of the
disagree.
argument, though.
How?
I feel like that's unfair.
How do I play both sides of the argument?
Because you started that point by saying that the concession workers get cut and they don't get money, and then when they can get a replaceable salary, because they're employees of the team, that's fine. But then you flip it around and you do the other side of it.
What?
I'm forgetting things. I'm getting exhausted because I feel like I'm arguing the same thing over and over again.
Scott, do you have any final thoughts?
I don't know.
All right, just to transition real quick, right before we started, I was reading some stuff from Ken Rosenthal. He said if he was Rob Manfred, offer that he would make to the players would be, we're playing 72 games with your 100% prorated salaries, and he's daring the players to say no. What do you guys think of that?
I think the players should take that. And if they
Take it
don't,
100%.
then, yeah, take it 100%.
Why wouldn't they take it?
I would absolutely agree.
That's what they want. That's
because
one thing. They want
the players have
full prorated.
but they've also wanted more games, and they haven't been able to get that either.
But
they've only wanted more games in a counter to that in order to recoup more money in the long run, because the owners didn't want to give them the prorated money. So if they're saying, all right, we're not going to give you the prorated money, we'll give you less. If they can play 20 extra games and recoup the money they'd get for, say, a prorated 70-game season, but instead they play 100 games, whatever the math it checks out to be, then they're willing to do that. But I don't think it's unfair to ask that the players get the money they pay for. I'm not saying pay Mike Trout $30 million to play 82 games or 81 games. Give Mike Trout $15 million for that season to play the games that he did play.
I would agree. I feel like you should be paid for the games that you play.
I think 72
just like I should be paid for the days that I work.
They're not doing anything less. That's the thing.
It's not like they're playing 7 innings.
Yeah, so they're not.
They're playing 9-inning games, so they should get game checks that resemble a normal 9-inning game.
Completely agree.
It's really that simple to me. They're not getting the 162. That's the agreement. They signed that March 26th. The agreement was that they would not get their full salaries based over 162 because 162 wasn't going to happen. They made that decision. Now that the fans aren't there, the owners want to go back, and that's not the players' problem that there's going to be no fans. Those
just
are
the way it works. It's like a sliding scale.
It's just circumstances that are unforeseen, and it's tough, and the owner got to eat the pill. That's my opinion.
I agree.
All right. Before we go, do we have any final thoughts?
I've given enough
Rob
thoughts
Manfred's
today.
a piece of shit.
A pizza?
Rob Manfred is a piece of shit.
Scott, what do you got?
I was thinking about this while I was mowing the lawn. Whatever does happen, if we do get baseball, I do truly believe, though, that the players that have been outspoken about, everything that has been going on, those guys better show up. You guys better play damn good baseball. You can't be slumping at any point this year. These guys better be ready to come play. Whatever happens, if we get 48 games, we get 72 games, we get 80 games, we get 50 games. Everybody better be ready to come play. You can't have a bad night. So these guys better be prepared moving forwards.
I agree, 100%. Is that your mom, Cash?
Yeah.
Nice. Tyler, did you say the Cardinals owner owned Arby's?
He owns Arby's franchises.
Have you ever been to an Arby's?
Yeah, I think so. Once or twice.
Is it good?
Out of state. I've never been in New Jersey.
Is it good?
I wouldn't go back again.
I feel like that's a dangerous game in Arby's. I don't know. But
it's probably
that's
not bad. I don't know. It's probably just like getting McDonald's or like something else in
fast food roast beef. I don't know.
No, that's gross. I definitely did not have the roast beef. I don't remember what I had when I went there, but it was not roast beef. I'll tell you that.
No, that's gross. But that's how I'm deciding to end the episode today. That I don't know. I don't think I needed Arby's. All right, that'll just about do it for this episode of Base Hit Ball 4. For Alex Cashman, Scott Roswald, and Tyler Blumenstick, I'm Glenn Denegris. So long, and hopefully this all checks out and we get baseball back.